and welcome to this episode of Tripology. I'm Alan, and I'm here with the ever expressive Adam.
Oh, Alan, how are you? How are you, Tripologist? Thanks for tuning in yet again.
Yeah, we're a little bit tired, aren't we, man?
A bit tired.
Why is that about for?
It's actually because it's 11 p.m. this record, which is very late, and it's 11 p.m. Alberta time. So maybe we don't have an excuse, because for us in BC, it's actually 10 p.m.
Well, maybe 10 p.m, 11 p.m. These times don't seem that late to the listening audience, but what a day of recording it's been. Bunkered down in a hostel dorm, interviewing guests of hostels for projects. It's been a real wild ride, but I'm just happy to be here now. Back to the roots of what we love to do, which is talk to each other about travel under the guise, under the disguise, under the hooded cape of Tripology.
It is amazing, and it's probably important to add as well that if you're watching this on YouTube or through video format, you'll be able to see that we are very much so in a dormitory.
In a hostel dormitory, yeah. If you go to youtube.com/@Tripology podcast, you'll be able to see this visage, this place that we're at right now. We're in a private 4-bed dorm. Nice, I think.
Really nice. Nice to know that we can turn this sort of environment into a recording studio. And I would say it's probably giving us a little taste, mate, of what things are going to be like in the future.
Indeed. I'd like to know, you have a very nice double bed.
Which was gifted to me by you.
Because you've done so much driving.
Yeah, I think it's very kind of you. It wasn't necessary. I mean,
it's fair.
You would hope that I'd be able to do that amount of driving without then needing a double bed.
Yeah, but I think it was the right thing to do, and I think it was testament to our friendship that it was so clear to me. Look, it's an enticing double bed, listeners. It looks beautiful.
I've made it. I am quite neat and tidy.
Yeah.
And the only thing I wanted to do last night was starfish, in the middle of a double bed.
Yeah.
No noise. Don't be making weird noises late at night. I'm knackered. Just let me go to sleep.
Well, we've both started taping our mouths shut at night, haven't we?
We have.
Which is interesting. I've started doing that. I started doing that maybe 2 months ago.
Okay.
Really enjoyed it. It basically, for people who don't know about mouth taping, encourages you to breathe through your nose in the night, which is good. The air from your nose is humidified. It's all that stuff. Also solves any snoring issues that you might have or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you've started doing it on my recommendation.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, I wouldn't say I've felt the benefits entirely. I'm still sort of waking up in the middle of the night and,
panicking.
trying to sip on something that isn't there type thing. But
Right.
I can see that it is something that maybe more and more people should employ.
Yeah. I'm glad you've taken to it. I like looking over at you. I looked over at you at 4 a.m. last night and you were there all taped shut like Hannibal Lecter. It was nice to see.
Well, I didn't have a choice the first night. I thought I was going to get kidnapped.
Yeah, I whacked that tape on you. I said, look, this is good for your health.
Listen to me now, won't you?
Yeah, well, did you have something you wanted to talk about? You've insisted we switch the mics on. You said, Alan, I've got something I need to get off my chest.
There's a story that I've wanted to tell on this podcast and tell to you for a very long time, and I'm sure it's one you'll enjoy because it involves an endangered species.
Oh, I would like to hear about an endangered species, yeah.
I'm not sure it's the right time to tell it, but when isn't it the right time?
When isn't? If you're a member of Tripology audience, why not lie in bed, put the podcast on, get into your pajamas, tape your mouth shut and listen to Adam talk about an endangered species?
I think one of the reasons as well I want to tell it now is because I'm in a really relaxed frame of mind and I'm sort of ready to doze off and listen to something that's just so beautiful and wonderful.
You seem laconic, but in quite a beautiful, relaxing way. I like seeing you like this. I'm going to be a good listener.
Okay, fantastic. So this story starts a few years back when I was travelling around Borneo.
Okay, nice. Home of the orangutan.
There it is, home of the orangutan. And
Is that a spoiler? Have I already spoiled the punchline?
Well, what I thought would be best to do is because on that trip, I had so many encounters with different wildlife, very close encounters. Each one of the parts, I guess each one of the different animals I encountered could probably be its own story, and I would like to treat it that way.
Okay.
So I've selected one which no one story is better than the other one, but I think this is just quite a cool way to kick it off because it also happened on the first day that I was in one of the primary rainforests in Borneo. So I don't know if you're familiar with Borneo, but it's kind of half Indonesian, half Malaysian.
Oh, really? Is it dual owned by those two countries? I had it down as completely Indonesian.
No, so it's owned by Borneo. Borneo is owned by Indonesia and Malaysia, and then Brunei is also on the same island. So it's actually one of the largest islands in the world.
Wow.
It's enormous. It's quite enormous.
Okay, so Indonesia has Java and Bali and then shared ownership of Borneo.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, of course, lots of other islands as well.
Yeah.
But Borneo, for any wildlife fans, if you've not been, you're really missing out. It's got world-class diving, primary rainforests, some of the most incredible experiences to be had. You can go hiking up mountains. I think if you really do love wildlife and jungle life in particular, you're really missing a trick if you haven't been to Borneo.
Okay, yeah, I missed Borneo when I was sojourning about Indonesia, but would have loved to go.
It's not cheap.
Okay.
I must say, you've got to be prepared to pay for it, but I would say it's very easy to justify that amount of money. So I'm on Borneo. I'm in Sabah, which is one region of the Malaysian part of Borneo, and I've just had the most incredible diving experience of my life. The listener's going to have to do a bit of work now if they're listening to all of our back catalogue of episodes, because I'm sure over the years we'll tell many stories about our different holidays, and then, they all slot in somewhere. But I had this incredible diving experience where I nearly drowned to death.
Yeah.
But that's for a different time.
Nice. I've told a story where I nearly drowned to death, but that's coming up for you.
Yeah, we chose to do those in 2 different episodes because it would have been a little bit drown heavy.
A little bit death heavy.
So we wanted a jungle experience, me and my partner at the time. And we found that there was a 4-night, 5-day trekking jungle experience in a place called the Maliau Basin.
Tell me about the Maliau Basin.
It is incredible. We had to get a 5-hour bus journey there. And I remember it was such an ordeal trying to get this thing organised, Alan, because as I mentioned previously, Borneo is not cheap. But I had heard through a backpacker that it was possible to arrange a tour with a private company that would kind of treat you like people who work for a research company facility. Like there was just a few things that
they
you
would
could
treat you like people who work for a research.
And by that I mean that if you went with a tour company, which is what they all advise, which is what you hear through the tourist board and what have you, it's 5 times more expensive.
Okay.
But there are private companies that look after researchers. And if you manage to get hold of these independently owned private companies that are willing to just do different legs of the journey, it's possible to line everything up as if you were a local, in inverted commas.
Right.
Those services exist. It's just going for the overall touristic, all-inclusive kind of experience all of a sudden puts $3,000 on it.
Okay, so you're circumventing the natural tourist process and you're getting basically the kind of deal that would be given to someone who was researching these animals.
Exactly. And even the accommodation that we ended up staying in was a research facility that when there's no researchers there, they turn it into kind of hostel accommodation.
Okay.
I think from memory, there's enough space for about 40 people. It's like a huge open hall, something you'd see similar to a school trip or something like that.
And it's orangutan-focused research, or is it a range of animals that they're learning about?
So I'll cut to the chase. Nat Geo were filming a documentary while we were there. And
about the most ginger great ape?
That was specifically about the great apes, about the orangutans. But you can see so many different things there, mate. I mean, it's like one of those jungles, the Maliau Basin, and also the Danum Valley, which is definitely worth a mention. That's a slightly different jungle. We did both in the same trip, and we were only there for 22 days or something. The most boring thing you're going to see is a monkey.
Yeah, okay.
That's the sort of level we're talking about.
Yeah. Our simian friends, certainly not boring, but that's the point you're making.
Totally. Just the sound, the buzz, the energy of a jungle. I fucking love it.
One grasshopper going, yes, he thinks I'm exciting.
So I ended up arranging this really elaborate trip, and it took a very long time, but I was so hell-bent on saving that amount of money that I decided to go for it. It was, a bit stressful, to be honest with you. You know, people that have travelled in a couple specifically, and maybe even people who have travelled with me specifically, might know that I'm trying to be a bit of a control freak when arguably I should relax a little bit, but I just want to have the best experience I possibly can.
Yeah, I don't know if I get the vibe that you're a control freak about travel, really. Well, I think you care about other people's experiences and you want to maximise joy.
Yes. Yeah. You know, I appreciate that. I do a lot.
I'm on your side.
Cool. So I had arranged this thing, and I'd found that if we went to a little kind of private bus hire company in a town called Tawau, which is on the coast in the northeastern side of Borneo Island, they run a 5-hour shuttle into the area where you then get picked up by a 4x4 to then head another hour and a half into the middle of the jungle.
Right.
And we ended up waiting there at this little bus stop thing that was kind of a booking shop, if you like. Communication was, non-existent, no schedule. Yeah, might be here soon. There should be another bus going today. This is how much money it's going to cost. Write all your details on a piece of paper, whatever.
Yeah.
You know the story. So this little thing turned up, this minibus, and we all lobbed our things into the minivan, climbed in, and we were prepared for this really long journey. And we knew that we were going to get there late, unfortunately, because it was a kind of a decision that had taken a long time that day. Yeah. And it was just, we were almost sacrificing a travel day, which I think in sometimes is necessary. Mm-hmm. You don't want to really be doing that on a 3 week, you don't really want to be doing that on a 3-week trip.
Yeah, too much travel, isn't it, at that point?
Yeah, so we decided to do this long bus journey there, got to the point where we had to swap vehicles into a 4x4 because you're then going an hour and a half into the thick jungle, lots of tracks and, all dips and that kind of thing, bumping heads and elbows, and the luggage is flying everywhere. And we had decided, amongst me and the other 2 people that were in this minivan, that we would just get to this research centre, check in. We'd already communicated with the research centre that we were going to be there, and we'd booked a few nights. And they said, you're getting here so late that unfortunately it's probably going to be getting dark and you might not have that much time to do anything.
Right.
However, there are a number of routes that you can walk, short tracks that are 800 metres, 500 metres. They're sort of loops through the jungle right outside the research centre and where the reception facility was. You're welcome to do those unguided, but please do not go off those tracks. Tomorrow morning, you can come to this office, you can book a guide, and then they can take you out on 4-hour hikes through the jungle, and it will be a little bit more organised and a bit more safe.
Why did they not want you to go off the tracks? Dangerous.
I would imagine dangerous, and
potentially harmful to the wildlife.
I would also say the chance of getting lost is incredibly high.
In the Borneo jungle, lost, you become like Mowgli or something.
Isn't it amazing when it comes to thick jungle? You could, I think, even me, definitely, I could probably walk around in circles for hours and not think I'd...
One leg shot than the other. Yeah, totally. Having lived in the Amazon, like the thickness of that growth, you have to machete your way through, and no sense of direction, of course.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any distinctive features because all the plants and trees kind of look the same, and it's so dense, and that is, of course, a risk. So we took it on the chin. We got there. It was wonderful, and I just love being in that environment. It just makes me so happy to be surrounded by so much greenery and wildlife. But a few of us, it was me, my girlfriend at the time, a Slovenian woman, amazing kind of like tour guide, and this German guy, all quite well travelled. Now, the German guy, he's appeared on a story before.
Okay. And what story? Tripology fans will be rooting through the back catalogue.
Well, I've dropped a little tidbit about this guy, the way that he travelled and his approach. He had saved up exactly 12,000 euros,
right,
so that he could travel for 1 full year.
Oh, he's a spreadsheeter.
Yeah, only spending 1,000 euros a month.
Okay,
and he wasn't prepared to do anything other than that. He did not want to deviate from the plan.
Was he prepared to spend less money than that?
No.
He had to spend 1,000 a month.
Why did I say no? I would imagine he would have been.
No. He's like going on the 30th day of the month. He's like bawling out of control. He's like, I've still got $900 left.
Completely, yeah, quite a funny one. But he was quite a nice guy, easy to get along with. Glad that we shared the journey with him.
Yeah,
and we all went there together. So we decided as a group, basically, Alan, that we should still try and make something of the afternoon. The important thing to remember is that it's not necessarily getting dark, but the sun is going down. And when you're in thick rainforest, it doesn't need to set that much before it goes pitch black.
Is it about to go pitch black?
No, no, but we were certainly conscious of the time.
Right.
So we were looking at the routes, the ones that we could take. We thought we should go and just explore a little bit and try and get our money's worth. So let's pick one of the shorter loops.
Okay.
There was one 800 and a couple of 500. We decided to go for one of the 500-meter loops that looked pretty straightforward. The jungle was absolutely not that busy, by the way. I think in total there were like 20 other people there.
Okay.
Some of them being Nat Geographic videographers and what have you.
But who knows how many animals there is amongst the foliage.
Totally. We did have a list of animals that we were told we could potentially see.
Yeah. A warthog comes. You're not on the list.
Get out of here, you scamp. So we were already kind of deciding what it is we might see. And I don't really know whether that's the best frame of mind to be in.
Safe frame of mind to be in. Yeah, you're planning in advance what you might see.
Yeah, none of them, to my knowledge, would have eaten humans, which is pretty high on my list of things to be worried about when you're in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the story takes a really, really wonderful turn. So I think it's probably quite a good time to go to the meditation.
Yeah, I'm feeling intense. I can't wait. Nightfall's coming. You've got a list of animals. You don't know if any of them eat humans, but you think probably not. It's always the ones with the innocuous names that eat the humans, though, innit? I'm very tense. Let's blast off to meditation break. And just like that, like particles in the ether, our conscious minds are running back into our brains like a tap, a faucet on full blast. Tell us about the rest of the story.
Oh, I'm in such a bloody good mood, Alan.
Oh, yeah.
So I am, because I'm reliving it. I just remember how good it was being there. There we were, about to embark on this trip, and we're thinking, 500-meter loop? How long's that taking, really?
500 metres.
15, 20 minutes?
If that, maybe. It depends. A saunter with a German guy, with a Slovenian girl, meandering through the jungle. Yeah, maybe 15 minutes.
So there's 4 of us. We start walking down this track, really enjoying being in the wilderness and hearing the animals. You can hear sort of the monkeys going and the birds chirping and stuff.
Monkeys? Boring.
And we keep walking and walking, we're chatting, we're having a catch-up, we're talking about the journey and how long it was and all the things we've got to look forward to. And
German guy's talking about his budget. Oh, classic.
There was one moment when there was a fork in the path, and we thought...
How'd that get there?
Yeah, because it's a loop. It's a loop on the map, quite clearly.
Yeah.
We went down the fork. We thought, it's still quite light. We got a bit greedy, Alan.
Oh, okay.
We thought maybe we can extend the loop. And we know where we're going.
Fork off to the left, loop back to the right.
This is the thing, tripologists out there, it's easily done, especially in thick jungle. If the track goes one way, you think, well, I'll just walk down that and I'll just turn back and come back down the same track.
Yeah. If you get lost, just turn back.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen like that, Alan.
No.
It really doesn't, certainly not in the jungle. Things to be distracted by. So we ended up doing a really, really long loop, and I reckon maybe 40 minutes went by.
Oh, no. That's more than 500 metres.
It is. And we ended up in thick bush. None of us could find the path. And we started to ask questions, and we were sort of saying the sort of questions you might, ask me. It's like, oh, that's funny. It feels like 45 minutes. But we only were supposed to walk 500 metres. What do you think about that? Well, I think we've probably gone wrong. Is there any way that we can make sure we haven't?
German guy's like, an emergency evacuation's not in my budget.
No, well, thank God he was so organised. He said, I pinned our location when we left, and it was 1.7 kilometres away.
Crikey, that's a kind of travel that I'm not used to.
And
He pinned your location prior to departure.
yeah.
Goodness me.
Well, I said to him, do you not think you could have said that a kilometre ago, so we knew that we were only 200 metres away from the trail?
9.
9 bitter. So there we were. I was panicking a little bit, fair to say.
Well, yeah.
Night was falling now. Yeah,
Okay.
we were taking too long, mate.
How's your partner coping with all this?
Oh, she's fine.
How's the Slovenian girl coping?
Both fine.
Okay, everyone's fine.
Nattering away.
It's just you panicking.
Yeah,
Okay.
in my head.
Right.
Obviously, I'm in the
Having a
jungle.
head panic.
Massive anxiety attack.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that river beautiful? But the river comes into play because we knew that there was a river that went through the jungle and it was flowing in one direction through the research facility. So we thought, well, hang on, we know the research facility is upstream because of the way the river is flowing.
Follow the river.
Exactly.
Like
Intelligent.
Augustus Gloop in a Roald Dahl book.
Absolutely. So we basically hacked our way down to the riverbed, and then we ended up wading through the river.
Easy for you to say.
So, some points it was so difficult. We were like up to our thighs in water, and I was thinking, I don't know how fun this is anymore.
Yeah.
So there we were, climbing over rocks and helping each other over and that kind of stuff, getting through it. What a wild adventure just to get back to the hostel after seeing no animals. And then we actually ended up breaking our way up a bank quite close to the hostel, has to be said, back onto the original path.
Okay,
So
like it.
We were all in a good mood at this point because it wasn't quite dark, and we were, relieved that we'd kind of found our way back. And we were in a much more different mood, much more friendly, much more relaxed. And we were nattering away, and the German guy had even pulled his phone out and he was showing us photographs of something he'd done previously in a different jungle. So this was a couple of weeks before. He was travelling around the whole of Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
And he was in another Asian jungle somewhere where he went on a night walking tour.
Okay.
And I'm sure you would have seen this. Do you know of any scorpions that reflect kind of very vibrant UV light? I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but they basically glow in the dark.
Well, it's bioluminescence? Or,
Something like that.
Okay. I don't know of them.
If you shine a light on it, a specific type of light in the dark.
Yeah, UV light.
Yeah, it goes like bright, really bright. It's almost glow in the dark. It's really, really...
Yeah, quite a few animals, like, a lot of fish have bioluminescence and UV light, and a lot of it's obviously animals see different spectrums of light to humans. A lot of animals can see UV, so for mating reasons, for threat displays, for all sorts of camouflage reasons, lots of reasons why an animal might have that ability.
Cool. So there we were. He was telling us this story, and he was saying, look, I've got a photograph on my phone. I'll just show you it. And he was telling us all
sorry, that's my spreadsheet. Flipping over to the
As
pictures.
you can see, I'm tidily under budget this month.
Yeah.
But we were, danger averted. We knew we didn't have to concentrate much anymore. We could hear in the distance the noise of the research centre. So we were walking along the path, nattering away. His phone was out. And just so that we could see the phone properly, we all stopped in a little group of 4 and we huddled around his phone, and he was showing it to us and stuff. And we were standing there for a few seconds appreciating this glow-in-the-dark scorpion on the screen in his phone.
Yeah.
On the screen, on his phone, in the middle of the Borneo Rainforest. And then my partner at the time, she was at the back of the group as we were all looking in one direction. She goes, and we're like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
She was pointing in one direction. You go, look. And we're all still looking at her because she sounds like she's having a fit. And she's like, look. And we followed her finger, and a clouded leopard walked out of the bush straight across the path, maybe 10 metres in front of us.
Describe a clouded leopard for the tropologists that may not know what one looks like.
It might be the most beautiful animal I've ever seen with my own eyes.
Attractive, aren't they?
Really attractive. I would say probably the size of a medium-sized dog, something like that.
Yeah.
You're going to say mastiff.
Yeah, size of mastiff.
But the markings, they're quite big, sort of block-like.
Yeah, clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the name.
And just such a stunning, sleek creature.
Yeah, amazing, predatory, feline beacons of death.
Yeah, the thing that was so amazing was not only how close the clouded leopard was, but how little sound it made.
Now, is the clouded leopard one of those animals like a cougar that if you see it, it's been watching you for much longer than you've been able to see it for?
They do say that. I would be very, very surprised if it hadn't seen us first.
They'd probably been watching you the whole time. During that Augustus Gloop wading through the river saga, the clouded leopard was probably watching you guys thinking, crikey, 4 easy meals.
I know, it was such an amazing experience because, as I say, it was so close. It was maybe 10 meters away. And you know what it's like in a forest or a jungle? There are things on the floor like sticks and leaves and bushes and all this type of thing.
Bioluminescent scorpions.
You would do very well to walk across any path and not make a sound. But it was like this thing was fucking floating.
Yeah, almost as if it were on the clouds.
It was incredible. It moved from left to right. It went out of the bush, across the path, and then into the bush again. And within a split second, it had vanished.
How's it regarding you as it's moving? Is it like paying close attention to you?
Didn't even look.
Ignoring you?
Didn't even look.
How brutally aloof of it.
It was absolutely incredible. It moved me almost to tears, mate. I just couldn't believe that we had seen one of these animals, because it was one of the animals that was on the list, but it was the one we were told we would almost definitely not see.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it gets even more exceptional than that.
That's so beautiful. And there's no chance that it was one of the tour guides in a clouded leopard costume?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
That's amazing.
And the reason for that is that when we had, we were beside ourselves that we'd seen this thing. I'd never seen anything like it, certainly not in the wild.
Yeah.
And then we got to the research facility. None of us spoke to each other. We were like, just, was it that?
Your partner's still going,
I'm there trying to justify it all. Maybe it was just a medium-sized dog.
Yeah. Was that a mastiff?
And I was just absolutely in love with that moment, to be completely honest with you.
Beautiful, yeah, and you told it so beautifully.
Really incredible. And then we got to the research facility and we ended up bumping into another group.
Another clouded leopard.
And we ended up bumping into another group that were just meeting with their tour guide to go on a tour that they were sort of sorting out what they were going to do earlier that day. And we spoke to them and we said, look, we think we saw the clouded leopard. And he said, I know you definitely did, because we saw it about 5 minutes before you did.
Oh, interesting.
And what was so amazing about that was that then we started to speak about the probability of seeing that clouded leopard. And he told us that there were probably less than 10,000 in the wild.
Wow.
That he had been a tour guide in that jungle for 3 years and never seen one.
Wow, well, that's amazing. Congratulations.
This guy was giddy.
Yeah.
To see someone who works in the field and has dedicated, their career, their life to doing this sort of thing and giving people those experiences, to see him and the way he was just, again, could not process what had just happened for him as an individual, but then also us as well. There was none of this kind of animosity, oh, well, you've been here 5 minutes, you've already seen one.
He was just happy about it.
Everyone was so happy.
That's really nice.
It was absolute magic. We could have gone home then and it would have been, worth the 5-hour journey there.
Amazing. Oh, travel's so wonderful, isn't it? Do you think a clouded leopard's dangerous to humans at all? Would a clouded leopard ever approach you aggressively?
I don't think so. I don't think they're big enough.
They are, yeah, I guess they're
I think if they were incredibly hungry. The interesting twist here as well is that we actually heard the leopard hunting monkeys shortly afterwards.
Is that their primary food source? Wow.
So what happened was, after we got back to the research facility, we then heard a load of monkeys make really distressed sounds. And the tour guide said to us, that's probably the leopard trying to catch monkeys. It makes complete sense.
Wow. I mean, travel, man. Travel's so beautiful because, you can't see a clouded leopard where we're from, but also just the beauty and the majesty and the awe of that experience. What an amazing thing.
And I really hope I did the story justice. I know I said
Absolutely.
at the beginning of the story that I'm quite tired, but it was something that really warms my heart, and I hope something that other people listen to and think is absolutely possible. The thing I would say as well is that not only is that one of the most magical moments that's ever happened to me, I think one of the reasons it's so magical is because it wasn't forced in any way. I didn't pay for a guide to take me to a place where he knew a clouded leopard would be.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I think it's really important to take stock and realise that you can go to these wildlife sanctuaries, you can go to jungles, you can go on safaris, but please don't be upset if you don't see anything.
Yeah, because those things don't exist for you to see them.
You can't force wildlife.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll happen and it'll be magic. Maybe it won't, and that's part of the game.
It's either there or it's not. It's either there for you to see it or it's not. But you're not paying the money so you can see it. You're paying the money for the experience, the chance to be in the right place at the right time.
Totally.
It's an amazing story, man. I think you told it really, really well.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you beautiful. Perfect episode of Tripology for right now, I think. It captured the vibe that I'm in right beautifully. I'm going to go to sleep now and dream of clouded leopards.
I don't have a bloody photo of that, as you can probably imagine. We were all just completely stunned. But if anyone does have any photos or stories to share, please send us an email.
And we'll just share what we can on Instagram.com/Tripology Podcast. You can email us your photos of clouded leopards at tripologypodcast@gmail.com. And do you know what else is a cloud? The ominous darkness of the present. And I'm just desperate to kind of get away from it. And I can see on the horizon sort of a bright, beautiful future. And it's next week. It's the next episode. And I'm going to head there now if you'll join me, Adam.
I'd love to, Alan. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, Tripologists. Take good care, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Let's go there now then. Bye!